Hey, so I was going over these slides that I got this morning, and um, I was interested in doing like kind of testing something out with these tickers that were on the publicly traded OEMs and retailers. Um, so kind of what I was doing um, before this was I was playing around with the 10K filing stuff. Oh, whoops. Yeah, there we go. So um, I was playing around with some of the different stocks that I've followed on my paper trading automation thing that I did. Um, and this is where I was really testing to see how the shares outstanding being added or removed affect the price of the stocks. So some of the just biggest movers on this one, I started tracking them in this presentation. Um, so what this is like if you say you're going to look into investing in this TMSR company, um, and you just type that ticker in, and we're able to pull up all the shares outstanding from every 10Q filing for every quarter, right? This is every quarter. And then right here, I just manually went in and compared each filing. I mean, it takes a long time to do, but this is what a lot of the traders are doing right now. Um, so if you see on this one, they added 12.6 million shares, which was about half the size of their float and their shares outstanding. Um, so here's just a chart of when that happened on 8/10, and they added all these shares. So the filing went through in the morning. So these are daily candles. Each one of these candles is one day. The green one, it opens here and closes up here. So this is the day before, and then overnight, it was before, like during the pre-market, before the market opened, which it opened up here, and they filed showing that they had added that many more shares. The share count went up like half or twice as much. So, anyways, it would have been a perfect signal to short this one, and in that day, it fell from $10 all the way down to about $5. And this one's just a perfect example of you'll get like a run up for whatever reason, whether it was just a pump or with these sketchy companies, a lot of times it is, or it's shorts getting squeezed. And then, but once the company sees that happening, they'll do like an offering or something and add 12.6 million shares, and then it just dilutes the stock all day long. This one is a huge one, though. It was the biggest I found in my spreadsheet. You could have shorted here around 10 or probably the high nines and cover up at the end of the day at 5, which is just an insane gain. Here's just a couple other ones where they diluted up here. The filing came out the morning before, and you could see you could have held this one. This is a daily chart again. Could have held it for days, weeks really, from $3.40 down to, the mid twos would be like a safe short. But a lot of these tickers are going to be something that hedge funds aren't looking at because it's not enough money, not enough shares, and high of price, and not enough volume. So I kind of wanted, here's just the other examples. You see that they all just keep working this way. Not every single one works. Like on this one, when they came out with this one, it didn't really affect it that much, but after the second one came out, it just really made it crack. It made that price crack. The first one was, like a quarter before, so probably somewhere over here around that price range. And then it just stayed steady, but after this little push, they diluted it, and it just really cracked, and for days just faded. Here's another one. When the biggest dilution happened, you could have held it around here. This one was a little slower, and the price didn't drop really as much, but I mean, that was kind of a smaller dilution for a company with 30 million shares. Anyways, those aren't the important ones right now. I wanted to test this on some of these tickers that were on our slides that I got this morning. So I started with Ford, and so this is every quarter. And what I found is it's actually pretty similar, and it could be a strategy for these hedge funds to be using this too. And it just shows that it would be worth having a product where you can look at all of the shares outstanding for every quarter side by side, which I still haven't found any products that are doing this. So you can see on these dates I highlighted, there was 13 million shares added and then 13 million shares subtracted. And it was the same number, which they tend to do that in this company. Same with this one, it's the same number that they added and subtracted. But anyways, I wanted to track it in the chart. So this is going to be the first arrow I put down right here. They added 13.4 million shares on. This is a weekly chart. You can see here. So each one of these candles is actually a whole week. So it would have happened somewhere in the middle of this candle, somewhere in the mid 12 to 13 range is where you could have been alerted and shorted this. And then you can see it. I mean, you could have easily covered up down here just 4 weeks. And this is 4 weeks right there. That's a whole month. So if you could have held that one for a month. But even beyond then, it just, because it was such a high number of shares of dilution, it just really destroyed this price, and it kept fading, kept getting knocked down. And then they put it back. They added the shares back here. And after that, it just kind of consolidates, and this is where we are now in the 9 range, which that arrow is right here, but the price was right here at $8.50 when they subtracted the shares away, which means they were buying the shares back, so it's this negative value right here versus the positive one. That's the positive is bad for the company, the negative is good for its value. So, I mean, I just wanted to try on another one. I got CarMax, and I had to go back quite a bit. So these charts I have a few charts for this one. The first one's on 6/30/2017. Even though it's kind of weird on this one because they've got billions of shares and 1 million just as a really small percent of that float. But from what I found, it still affected it. So let's look at this one, 6/30. It would have happened. This is a weekly chart again, weekly candles. So each one of these is 1 week. So somewhere in the middle of this week, they bought back 2.4 million shares. And you can see like where these earnings bubbles right there and there. That's pretty much what marks the quarter, each quarter. So I wanted to size this from how good did it do since they subtracted it until the next quarter, and every time it's higher. So this would have been the next quarter when they're going to come out with a new share count. So that was the 6/31, and you can see the next quarter and the next one. I didn't highlight them because they didn't really affect the price. Also, it wasn't as many shares. But let's go to this one here. And I mean, not all of them are going to work, but it doesn't mean it's a bad signal and that you wouldn't want to be watching these stocks, because if they do react the right way, then you kind of know where they're going. So let's look at this one in March 31st, 2018. That's going to be this one. It's somewhere in this. Let's see. Okay, yeah. So these really are two different charts. That one was 6/30 was the day that one came out. This one is 3/31, I think the date was, where this arrow is. They bought back 1.4 million shares again, and you can see for the rest of that quarter, it ended a lot higher. I do want to go through on all these and figure out the exact percent change of gain or loss that happened during that quarter. I'll probably do that next. Here's just another one. It was just a small pop from, it was actually the biggest one they did, which was they bought back 4.5 million shares, which is a lot. That's a lot of shares to buy back, even for a company that has billion shares, hundreds of billions of shares. And so I've got two pictures of this one. This is just 1 month, and it has to be, this is just 1 month. These are daily candles now, so this is 5 days right here of a run-up since they subtracted it. And then it didn't really go much further. But then now if you take a look at the whole quarter after that, this is where we were right here. This was that first 5 days of run-up, and it kind of consolidated again a bit. But then right at the beginning of this quarter, the price is just going way up. So, I mean, however you look at it, I think that there's still some kind of signal there. So this might be something that a product that they would be interested at these hedge fund meetings. I still need to do some more, obviously, and test it out. I did one of them that really didn't get me any. I didn't find any interesting shares outstanding. But also, this is another company with tons of shares, 23 million, but they don't really add or remove any shares, which is good for, if you want to, it's good for a company that they're not doing that, toxic dilution and crazy buybacks. But it's also fun if you can get an edge on it and catch some of these moves that I keep finding in the history. So anyways, let me know what you think about that, and I'm going to get back to tracking some more of these stocks that are the publicly traded OEMs and retailers. So, all right, thanks. Talk to you later.